Is the investigation of the Charlie Kirk assassination targeting George Soros and his network at the right speed? Particularly if Donald Trump's scheduled to meet King Charles this week with the British government on the verge of collapse. Right now, the investigation is focused on trans killer cults and furry ideology. But these are simply the on the ground operatives in any political assassination of this type, and FBI Director Kash Patel and President Trump are under attack for their plan to target the higher ups like British intelligence's George Soros. Political assassinations are almost always terrorist acts committed by impaired people steered by state intelligence agencies. I'm Barbara Boyd, and I'm the co-author of the Promethean Action ebook, A Police Dossier. It's the British who murder our presidents. You can get it on the Promethean Action website, and we'll post the link in the description. Today, I'm going to first update you on the expanding investigation to find all those responsible for Charlie Kirk's assassination and where it must go to succeed. Then I'm going to talk about the extraordinary worldwide awakening of young people now occurring in the wake of that assassination and how the oligarchy is reacting. Finally, I'm going to preview President Trump's visit with King Charles, which starts Tuesday. If you watch this show to start the week, please like and share this video. The shooter, Tyler Robinson, will be in court for the first time on Tuesday. We'll know a whole lot more later today and tomorrow. Over the weekend, we learned that Robinson has a trans lover and that he is a furry, and that the FBI's investigation is expanding. But FBI Director Kash Patel is under both internal and external fire to keep the investigation confined to this. President Trump has said that the real target he and the FBI are looking at is the George Soros and similar terrorist funding mechanism, which have very, very deep ties to both British and U.S. intelligence agencies. That's what we must be focused on now, a focus by the entire Trump intelligence team while the criminal process in Utah proceeds. Open the books on this apparatus at USAID, the National Endowment for Democracy, the CIA, Five Eyes, and all their NGO surrogates, and particularly British intelligence. Yes, there are trans killer cults operating in our country. There have been 2 mass shootings by trans individuals just this year, each directed at children. Audrey Hale in Nashville, Robin Westman in Minneapolis. Additionally, Nikita Kasem killed his parents as part of a plot to assassinate President Trump. The Zizians, a trans murder cult, is now linked to 6 deaths in the United States. But assuming this trans-type cult is the on-the-ground deployment, what is the higher guiding hand? It's not Silicon Valley algorithms, as Utah Governor Spencer Cox tried to cover it up yesterday. It probably resides in the psychological warfare systems developed as a result of the Ukraine war and what NATO calls cognitive warfare, or the battle to shape and direct human minds. That secret warfare capability needs to be looked at right now in terms of the Kirk assassination and opened up as an investigative priority. After all, the CIA's former program, MKUltra, had as its goal the creation of a robot-like assassin whose actions could never be traced back to its creators. Are the trans killer cults their creation? What's the link, actually, between Tyler Robinson and Ryan Roth and Thomas Crooks? If you want to find out more about the British intelligence aspects of this, please become a paid subscriber to Promethean Action. You'll get my show notes and the references. Now, the outpouring of resolute support for President Trump and Charlie Kirk, which occurred throughout the world over the weekend, isn't just about striking back at the evil which led to Charlie's assassination. It is a moment in a war that we must capitalize on right now to bring the real perpetrators to justice and to bring down this evil imperial system once and for all. Over 1 million people gathered in London Saturday to defend free speech, closed borders, and to honor Charlie. Thousands also showed up in South Korea. Australia and Israel had large outpourings of support. Smaller vigils occurred throughout Western Europe. There were public sports salutes to Charlie Kirk from college and NFL football teams, professional baseball teams, NASCAR. Vigils attended by young and old were held in every major city across the United States. Thousands showed up across the country at Turning Point's headquarters in Phoenix. More significantly, Turning Point USA reports that it has over 33,000 requests by young people to start new chapters, and the internet is filled with pictures of young people in new suits attending church or reading the Bible for the first time ever. Young people are also leaving the Democratic Party in droves. This has put the modern British financial empire on its back foot, but it's still a vicious foot. They are doing everything possible to continue their wars in Israel and Ukraine and to draw the United States into them. Trump's mission is to use the American system of economics to launch a human cultural renaissance and save Western civilization. That was also Charlie Kirk's mission. Last night, President Trump announced that he is changing the reporting requirements for American companies to the SEC because economies must be planned for constant progress over a much longer time span than quarters. He cited China's rapid technological progress as an example. We are therefore at a true historical turning point where the most critical battlefront is the culture of populations, particularly the young. The big question is whether Western civilization in its best sense will continue. The trans movement is the most obvious heresy, but there are many, many others. Charlie Kirk had a famous exchange with Tucker Carlson about the nature of this battle. Here's the key part.
Well, this is why your faith is the most important thing. Because for those of us that are Christians, it doesn't drive you crazy. You actually see what's going on, which is that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and darkness and spirits, that there's a spiritual war here.
This period is thus like the one the poet Percy Shelley talked about in his book, The Defense of Poetry. Here's what Shelley wrote about this time and Charlie Kirk. At such periods, there's an accumulation of the power of communicating and receiving intense and impassioned conceptions respecting man and nature. The person in whom this power resides may often, as far as regards many portions of their nature, have little apparent correspondence with that spirit of good of which they are the ministers. But even whilst they deny and abjure, they are yet compelled to serve that power which is seated on the throne of their own soul. That, my friends, I believe, is what Charlie presently represents. Now, on Tuesday, President Trump travels to England, where he faces an evil regime on the verge of total collapse. Remember, King Charles issued his invitation to Trump to come at the same time he issued an invitation to Zelensky in a desperate effort to keep the Ukraine war going. Like the rest of Europe's elites, the inhabitants of the modern British Empire deny what it is that is happening to them, and they impose increasingly fascist measures to quell the revolt of their populations in response, basically throwing the opposition in jail, censoring speech, and a similar dive into outright fascism. The million in the streets of London on Saturday became 110,000 in the media, but the organizers have the receipts on film. The man the deep state was relying on to trap Trump in this visit, Lord Peter Mandelson, was fired last week because of his perverted relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is stupid and is hated by the British population and is clinging to his post for dear life. He has condemned the now widespread use of the English flag and the Union Jack by the population as anti-immigrant and racist, when he knows actually it is patriotic and anti-globalist. The same political and religious awakening is now sweeping both Germany and France. I can't tell you how this visit will turn out, other than President Trump is on top of his game right now, and the oligarchy, a wounded beast, is striking out. We will report on the visit on our website and on YouTube. So, What we see now is a powerful force at work in the world, and the young are rising against the old corrupted and evil order. But the question is, how fast can we move to provide this spiritual army with the historical and classical education they need to win, and whether we are reaching the real assassins in our investigation of what happened to Charlie Kirk? That's what we here at Promethean Action are all about. We're not funded to be social influencers by lobbyists or foreign governments. Our growing community is the only financial support we have in our mission to educate people to win. Please help us grow by going to Promethean Action and donating today. I'll see you again on Thursday.
Thanks for watching. Please take a moment and subscribe to our free newsletter at prometheanaction.com.